Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to first of all thank the organizers of this meeting for associating the African Union Development Agency in your discussions about an important topic for the continent and our citizens at large. So allow me to now share my screen so that we can go together on this presentation. Okay, right. There we go. So I'm going to assume everybody is seeing my screen and also hearing my voice. Once again, allow me to express our sincere gratitude to the organizers of this meeting and on behalf of the African Union Development Agency to share our strategy towards promoting and building a pharmaceutical manufacturing ecosystem in Africa. Way back in 2005, the African Union heads of state and government agreed to develop a manufacturing ecosystem whereby medicines of good quality that would be made accessible, available, and affordable to our citizens was made. In the decision, it was agreed that the African Union Development Agency, NEPAD, then only NEPAD, would lead that process. Today, we have continued to engage with our stakeholders and developed what we call the Pharmaceutical Manufacturing Plan for Africa Business Plan. This is a package of technical assistance solutions that are designed around these areas. First, ultimately to achieve two goals. As you can see in this presentation, the two ultimate goals, one is public health outcomes, the other is related to industrialization and economic benefits. The one that is related to public health outcomes sees to it that the manufacturing of medicines that is going to happen on this continent will ensure that the products that circulate our markets will be of good quality, they will be made accessible, available, and affordable to those who mostly need them. Number two, from the industrialization perspective, the ultimate goal is to make our industry in the pharmaceutical sector more competitive, sustainable, and self-reliant. We understand also that we cannot achieve these two goals without the political commitment of our leadership. As demonstrated in 2005 in Abuja in that special summit on HIV, tuberculosis, and malaria, we have continued to see many member states join hands to ensure that they create an enabling political and policy environment to ensure that we as Africans are able to produce our own medical products. We therefore, in our strategy, have continued to engage member states and regional economic communities to create a policy coherent strategy where we will look at the science, technology, and innovation, education, trade and industry, health, all those policies to be coherent towards ensuring that we have a pharmaceutical manufacturing ecosystem that will achieve those two goals. A sound sector strategy that is either at national level or regional level is very important because only through that can we have a long-term vision to develop this industry. There are challenges, however, that we need to design solutions around, and these are what the African Union Development Agency, NEPAD, has designed. Working with our different stakeholders and partners around this table and around the world, we seek to strengthen human resources that are required in this industry. We can use our universities and other institutions, both research and others, to ensure that the human skills that are required to deliver on this ecosystem are veiled. Number two, access to product and technology. We understand that this is a knowledge-based ecosystem, and we require to have not only the technology, but also the knowledge. And we are pushing the countries and the partners to work together to ensure that our SMEs access the product and the technology and know-how to be able to develop this industry. Thirdly, we have come to understand from many times and again that the industry, the SMEs, the small, medium, and micro enterprises that are endeavoring to enter this system struggle to access affordable capital. The meaning of this is that you will have our commercial banks offer loans that are quite high interest and short term, and yet this industry actually requires longer term, more predictable, and quite big loans on a low interest rate. So we're encouraging our development finance institutions and other banks to work together to see how they can create facilities that will enable our SMEs to access affordable capital and invest in this sector. Regulatory system strengthening and enforcement is another critical area where the African Union Development Agency, NEPAD, has worked tirelessly with our regional economic communities to strengthen and to harmonize the regulatory requirements for medicines in Africa. And through the African Medicines Regulatory Harmonization Initiative, so many of you may already know, we have been able to have a treaty that was endorsed and adopted, and now we have established the African Medicines Agency, which Kigali has kindly accepted to host, and we look forward to seeing this institution roll out its activities, supporting national regulatory authorities to achieve the desired goal of assuring the quality of medical products that will continue to circulate the markets in Africa, and also to ensure that we fight the substandard and counterfeit products that have often posed a public health threat on this continent. Then we move on to the need for fostering the requisite collaboration and business-to-business linkages that are required for this industry. We know on our own, the African SMEs definitely would not be as competitive and sustainable if they were to go it alone. We will continue to work with our various partners to ensure that we have win-win collaboration and partnership with the West, with the North, and all of this South-South collaboration to enable our ecosystem to grow and be able to produce the much needed essential products that we need. Enhancing our market data systems remains critical because we realize that investments in this sector are hampered sometimes by the lack of understanding of how big or what the markets look like for pharmaceuticals on the continent. And therefore, we're working hand in hand with the necessary institutions to ensure that we collect and disseminate and share credible data with those who need to understand these markets, and also work with collaboratively with the recently established Continental Free Trade Area to ensure that the fragmented markets that are currently existing on the continent become less fragmented and attract more investments in this area. You may want to know what currently are the initiatives that are being operated on this continent in relation to this pharmaceutical manufacturing plan for Africa instrument. I have already mentioned to you about the African Medicines Regulatory Harmonization Initiative and how it has become a foundation for the establishment and operationalization of the African Medicines Agency. Building on the successes of this initiative, the African Medicines Agency will be able to get resources, both technical and financial, that had been injected into establishing the various regional harmonization projects across the continent, and therefore grow to do their operations much more smoothly. Then we have working with the with the UNECA, the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, been working to anchor certain projects within the ACFTA, whereby the small island countries are coming together so that they can, procure medicines from locally manufactured medicines from our local manufacturers, ensuring that we are anchoring that within the ACFTA objectives, which we do hope that we will continue to do even on a larger scale for the rest of the other countries, so that not only will the medicines be affordable, but we will be able to also, participate in building economies of scale in this area. The Africa Medical Supply Platform, many of you may know that during COVID-19 pandemic, this platform was created so that it can give a platform for our local manufacturers to access suppliers, to access markets for their medical supplies, especially PPEs and other medical supplies that were needed across the continent when the supply chains had been broken down due to travel restrictions, and goods were not moving that smoothly across the continent. And therefore, this platform, as a digital platform, came in quite handy to assist to address some of the supply chain issues. We also have 5 other initiatives that we're working together with our member states and development partners, whereby we have an annual conference that brings together private sector and public sector to discuss what challenges continue to hamper progress in advancing the pharmaceutical manufacturing ecosystem across those various areas that I spoke about. We also do have in the business of developing a good policies and practices framework, where we hope that the member states that are engaging and would like to engage in developing their local manufacturing ecosystem, that they may use these instruments to create the necessary enabling environments in terms of policies and practices that actually have really been made practical and have produced results in that area, and they could also be scaled up and replicated across the various countries. Policy environment is very important to be conducive for if we have to see our manufacturing ecosystem grow. Then we also have what we have called the Africa Farmer Learning Management System. This is where we're trying to address the issue that I mentioned about the inadequate knowledge and human skills that are required. We hope that on this platform that our institutions that are engaging in developing the pharmaceutical ecosystem can access audio, video, and other written material that can help them build their own institutional capacities as well as individual capacity. Then we have continued to engage the various banks within the Pan-African ecosystem to see whether we can have a fund for African pharmaceutical sector development, which we called the FAPD. And I believe if the Africa Development Bank is with you and the African Union Commission, they may be aware of the progress we are making in that area. Then we have, after COVID, created along, you may already know the Africa CDC is pushing a partnership to support vaccine manufacturing. And this is, again, some area that you need to, as investors in this space or any stakeholders in this space, need to understand that not all African member states, 55 of them, could viably establish vaccine manufacturing hubs. That is going to be impossible. So for the countries that have ventured into doing this, we are advising that we understand the limitations and be able to navigate those limitations and ensure that we have sufficient markets, sufficient knowledge, sufficient technology, and we are capable of pushing for the vaccine manufacturing ecosystem to grow bearing in mind that it is quite an expensive venture, but also it is a very much needed area whereby we will benefit a lot from developing our local industry there. Finally, at the African Union Development Agency, we have a homegrown solution accelerator, whereby we have selected certain private sector to help them develop their projects and make them more bankable so that they can be able to access finance, markets, and all of those other issues that I did mention earlier. Doing all of this, we need to have a sort of governance framework that helps us to effectively coordinate the implementation of our pharmaceutical manufacturing plan for Africa. And so we are putting together the governance framework, and we'll be calling upon member states that are interested and various experts and partners to join this coordination mechanism that we're putting together, so that we know at any time what is going on across our continent, who is doing what in the area of promoting a local pharmaceutical production in Africa. We are also consolidating all of the information around good policies and practices for pharmaceutical manufacturing, which we will disseminate to as many countries as would like to see what it is a good pharmaceutical policy, what it is a good pharmaceutical practice, so that we can be able to collectively work together to achieve our desired goals for our people to have the medicines that they need of good quality, that they are affordable and accessible and available to all who need them. And lastly, of course, the other ultimate goal is to make sure that our small and medium enterprises are engaging in the manufacturing value chain, and they're able to benefit from the manufacture of not only the finished good, but packaging finished good, but also they're participating in the other value chain of manufacturing, where it involves R&D and it involves intellectual property, and to register more patents, to be able to also participate along the more costly parts of the manufacturing value chain, just like the other big pharma are doing. And we will do that. We believe that with the right people around the table, with the right stakeholders and the right mindset, we will move towards the right direction in terms of pushing the African pharmaceutical manufacturing agenda on the continent forward. So with this, I would like to end this presentation by showing you and calling you to join us on the journey of coordinating effectively what we are doing. And just to tell you that in the technical working groups that are going to be the day-to-day operations, manning the day-to-day operations of the pharmaceutical manufacturing plan for Africa, include a technical working group that will focus its design of technical assistance solutions to developing good manufacturing practices. We'll be developing trade and policy incentives that can help grow this industry. We'll be developing solutions to make access to finance more affordable, more predictable, more long-term. And then the technical working group on data systems and market intelligence will help to establish solutions around strengthening our data systems and market intelligence systems. And then supply chain management technical working group will focus on how to make the supply chain more manageable and more fluid. Then the R&D and technology transfer working group will focus on the tech transfer and building our R&D so that we can better participate at the higher levels of the manufacturing ecosystem value chain. And then lastly, the capacity enhancement and training technical working group will drive the day-to-day operations of trying to find the technical solutions that our member states and our regional economic communities and our local private sector can utilize to be able to enhance their capacity in this area. We will not do this on our own without our partners. And I, at this point, would like to call upon all the partners that are around this discussion today, that you will continue to support the African Union member states and you continue to work collaboratively well with the rest of the actors in this framework to be able to achieve our desired goals. Once again, thank you very much for inviting the African Union Development Agency. And despite the fact that I wasn't able to attend in person, I am sharing these slides for you to think about, and in the future, when I have a chance to be in conversations face to face, we will be happy to provide more clarity and to engage in more in further conversations, so we can have we can achieve our desired goals collectively. I want to express our thanks from the CEO of the African Union Development Agency, Madame Nados Bekele, who definitely is aware that I am giving this talk and has sent me for other duties in Accra, where I'm currently recording this message. And so I wish you all the best and fruitful deliberations. Thank you so much. May God bless you. Murakoze Chan.